Alright, so we just finished programming the pretest. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chamfer the whole part. This is actually fairly easy to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by going to our program review, and we're just going to copy all the blocks. And we're going to paste them here at the end. We'll start with block 12. Alright, now what we're going to do is basically just tweak the depths and change all the paths to tool number 1, and it should chamfer all of the geometry without having to reprogram anything. So starting out, we're going to do all of our holes here. So what we're going to do is we have two different depths here. We have the counterbore holes and then this one standalone hole. So we'll actually start by doing the counterbore holes. And so our depth here is 0.5, and the diameter of our hole is 0.201. So what we're going to do is, since it's a 90-degree chamfer, we're going to drop it down to 0.5 to bring the tip right to this plane here, and then we're going to drop it by half of the diameter of the hole. Since it's a 90-degree chamfer mill, half of that is going to put the edge of our chamfer mill right on the corner here. And then we'll add about 5/10 thou just to put a nice chamfer on there. So we're going to start out here at negative 0.5, and then our hole is basically 0.2 in diameter, so we're going to subtract 0.1 from that. It's going to put us at negative 0.6. So now basically our chamfer mill is directly on the corner where the flat bottom and the hole meet. So whatever we add to it now is going to put that size of chamfer on our corner of our hole. So we'll go ahead and we'll do 10 thou. So it'd be minus 0.61. And we're going to change our tool to tool number 1. And we don't need to peck anything. Now all we have to do is tweak our bolt circle. So we're going to skip number 4 here, like we did before. And we'll draw it. And you'll see a little tiny dot in the middle of these holes. Alright, so that worked. You can see a little dot. If we zoom in, see a little dot here. That's our 0.1 diameter chamfer tool going in and chamfering those. Alright, so now we'll copy this block, paste it, and then we're going to change our depth now to just the diameter of the hole divided by 2, and that's going to put it on the top surface here. And then we'll add our 10 thou again, and then it's going to chamfer that hole by itself. Now all we got to do is skip everything else. So we'll skip everything but number 4. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now it's going to do everything except for that one hole. Or it's going to do that one hole except for everything. Alright, so we got our dot there now, so we should be good. Now we have this mill frame outside. That's this top portion here. So we're just going to change our tool to tool number 1. Leave it on the outside. Now for our Z bottom. So since our diameter is 0.1, our cutter compensation is 50 thou, right, from the center line. And so it's basically putting the tool 50 thou off from the center line of the contour we've created. And so if we want to put the edge of that 90-degree chamfer on there, we have to drop it 50 thou. That makes sense, because basically however far over you go, if you go that far down, it's going to put the angle of our chamfer tool right on top of that. And then if we add 5 thou to that, we'll have a 5 thou chamfer. then we can just leave everything else the same. We can get rid of our peck depth. And the one thing we have to make sure we do is remove this finishing pass, because we don't need that anymore, because we're just chamfering. So anytime you copy a block that has a finishing and you're going to change it to a chamfering block, make sure you get rid of that finishing pass. That's a good way to crash a machine or a part by leaving those finishing passes in there. So we'll go ahead and go to our circle, and we know this circle is down inside this pocket, so we're going to do the point 2, and we're going to take it further down. So we, again, start at point 2, and then we do our 50 thou and our 5 thou, so it'll be negative 0.255. Change this to tool number 1, and instead of being a pocket boundary, we'll do inside. And we'll get rid of our finishing. We may have an issue with that chamfer mill when it does this circle. It may actually hit the sides of our ellipse here. You can see there's very little clearance. If we do have an issue, we can always change the diameter of our chamfer tool. But for now, we won't worry about that. It's something you have to worry about when you start programming for real. It's a very common situation you get into. It's a really easy way to scrap a part, so always keep that in mind, your wall clearance, because it doesn't know that there's that extra material of the tool, and so it could actually cut into some other geometry if you're not paying attention. So get rid of our finishing, and that part's done. Now go to our ellipse, and this one's going to be negative 5.5 again. Tool 1, get rid of our pecs, and we're going to do inside. And that's all you got to do for that part. Now we have our contour here. So this is our pocket over here. Get rid of our finishing. Tool number 1, and we'll do left. If you went around the other way, you'll have some issues. You have to do cutter comp right, which you usually don't ever want to do. So always keep in mind when you program stuff like this, if you're going to be chamfering it later, always come from the left side. You gotta change our Z depth. When we do this, it'll ask us to update all segments. Make sure you always hit yes. It's a real easy way to crash the machine if you hit no, because it's going to start out at the right depth and then immediately plunge way down to the very bottom of our pocket. And since we had a 1/4 inch tool that we're only calling point 1, it's going to have all that extra tool that's going to cut into the raw stock of your part. So always keep that in mind. We can get rid of our peck. And for this next block, this is our the way we did it the second time. Remember, we did it with lines and arcs, and then we did it with the mill frame. We can just delete this. We don't need it. And this is our counter bores we did when we milled. We just plunged that in mill. We'll go ahead and delete them, and we'll use the other one we used with the mill circle and the depth at 55. Tool 1, and we can do inside. Get rid of our finish. Don't need a peck. And that's pretty much everything, except when we mill this outside contour, we'll have a real sharp edge all around this outside stock. So at the very end here, we can just throw in a mill frame, leave our corners at 0, 0. You know, it's 7 by 3. We're going to start 50 thou above, and our bottom is going to be minus 0.15, and then we're going to subtract our 55 thou. So that puts us at negative 2.05. And we can throw a corner radius in there, 10 thou, just around the little corners. Makes it a little bit nicer, it won't be quite as sharp. We change tool 1, do an outside, do our plunge feed, and we'll draw it. It should be good. Alright, everything looks good. You can see that chamfer is right on the outside here. It's not going to look like it's chamfering it. We can do some stuff to make it look that way, but this method will work just fine without having to tweak anything. So it should be good as is. Program will be pretty much ready to run, and that should be it. We can also view from different angles to see, make sure nothing's going too deep. It looks like everything's where we want it to be. So we'll go ahead and save it out, and we're done. Alright,